Hello and welcome, my fellow outcasts, weirdos, and misfits. My name is Delta and my pronouns are Viva Vis. Welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be reacting to anyone posts from the AmITheA-hole subreddit. If you don't know what that is, it is, as I said, a subreddit in which people will describe situations and have the community basically decide whether they are the arsehole in the situation or not. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I'm finally doing it. I haven't read all of these beforehand to have some element of surprise, and the ones that I did read, I read months ago, so there you go, let's get into it. So the title of the first one is, Would I be the arsehole if I applied for this opportunity? A mentorship opportunity has come up in an industry that I've wanted to break into for my whole life. It's a very hard industry to establish yourself in, and the mentorship is being sponsored by a well-known company in this industry. It's an amazing opportunity. However, the mentorship is specifically for marginalized groups, and I'm worried that I'm not marginalized enough to apply. The announcement for the opportunity specified people of color, people with disabilities, LGBTQIA people, and others. Although I identify as demisexual and demi-romantic, I am white and in a heterosexual relationship. Some people feel that demi is a sexual/romantic identity that doesn't really count. I also have a diagnosed personality disorder and a diagnosed mental illness, which I suppose qualifies me, but I'm mostly neurotypical. I'd hate to take an opportunity away from someone more deserving, assuming that I applied and then won. I'm worried that on the off chance that I actually won, people would be upset that the mentorship didn't go to someone more obviously marginalized. What do you think? Would I be the arsehole if I applied? And my answer is very much no. Being demi in any kind of orientational way is being marginalized enough. The asexual spectrum and aromantic spectrum identities are queer enough. If they specifically said LGBTQIA+, the A is for asexual and aromantic spectrums as well as other identities, and you being a demisexual and demi-romantic person would qualify you. And because of her personality disorder and other mental illness, you could count, if you wanted to, as a disabled person, because a lot of people consider their mental illnesses disabilities. I do, and that would definitely make you marginalized enough, because mentally ill people are massively stigmatized and massively marginalized, and so are demi people of any kind. Ugh. The first comment says, you're the arsehole, you're not a minority, and the mentorship is for a minority. Yes, this person is absolutely part of a minority, because being queer, being aspec is a minority, being mentally ill is literally a marginalized minority. So no, this person would definitely not be the arsehole if they applied for this opportunity, because it doesn't say which marginalization. It lists some, but it doesn't say you have to be specifically a person of color, you have to be specifically gay. It lists all this stuff, and this person is part of two of those groups, and it even says and others. So no, this person would definitely not be the arsehole for applying. Okay, the title of the next one says, Am I the arsehole for getting upset at my mum for getting an asexual themed gift even though I'm not out? Alright, so Christmas literally just happened and I'm feeling really conflicted on how to feel right now. So early 2020, I, 18 female, discovered that I was asexual and started growing more accepting of it over the year. I live with my mother in her 50s at the moment because of the pandemic. I told one of my Discord friends about it over voice call a month ago, November. Well, an average speaking voice, and he was supportive about it. We opened Christmas gifts alone with just her, my brother, 13, and me. I got all the usual stuff and opened up a box to find a ring with the ace flag colours on it. I try to play it off in the moment, like I enjoy the colours and confront her after the presents why she bought it. Apparently, when I was telling my friend, she had overheard on accident, she claims, and did her own research on about what it was. She wanted to get me something nice that showed that she was supportive while not making a big deal of it all. I would like to say that I was calm about the whole thing, but I wasn't. I can admit I got louder than I should have while explaining to her that coming out is something that I should have done myself on my own terms. That even if my brother didn't know what it meant, she should have told me when she heard it, when she did. She then brought up how people would be lucky to at least have a supportive parent. We both agreed to take some time to cool down before talking again. I'm just wondering if there's another side to this that I might be missing. Part of me knows she's right, but it still feels wrong. So I already saw the verdict. It says she is the arsehole, which I don't really agree with, because as she has said, coming out is something she should have done on her own terms. And it's really awkward to suddenly find out that your mum overheard such an intimate thing that you clearly weren't ready to share with family yet, and you were sharing with a friend. So it is good that she's being supportive, but she should have just maybe approached you and not be like, surprise, I heard that you're ace. So I don't necessarily think this woman is the arsehole. The next one says, am I the arsehole for telling my friends to not make sexual jokes? I, male, 16, am asexual. I'm in a friend group with 7 other people. Another friend of mine is also asexual, and our other friend's humor revolves around sex jokes and also comments about fictional characters. Me and my other asexual friend have gotten uncomfortable with these jokes and asked them politely to stop, and well, they did. Nothing at all has changed except for our conversations. Our conversations with each other is very dry. I found out that they made a group chat excluding us too, and when I confronted them about it, they said it's a group chat where they can make sex jokes without us being uncomfortable. I also noted that in school, whenever they aren't around us, they make sex jokes and laugh with each other, but when we all eat lunch together, they're quiet and on their phones. I got upset and questioned them about all of this. They claimed that they really didn't want to make us uncomfortable with their sex jokes, but I didn't want to hear it, and I just walked away. Am I the arsehole? And then there's an edit. It says, after reading the feedback, I do see how I was being childish and entitled. I'll work on just ignoring the jokes from now on. This is a difficult one because sex-repulsed asexuals exist who are just repulsed by anything sexual, even if it doesn't directly relate to them. And that should be respected if those people are your friends. And I don't think it's necessarily fair that they suddenly start excluding you and kind of ignore you when you are around. Like, if they want to be friends with you and the other ace person in the group, they can, I guess, make the sex jokes on their own, but they shouldn't really ignore you when you are all together. Yeah, it's just weird they would just ignore you when you're all together. It's like all their personality and all the conversations are sex jokes. Let's see what the comments are. You're the arsehole. You can't stop people from joking about certain subject matter. You are trying to control and limit what they do all the time, and that is not right. You told them you're uncomfortable and they stopped and accommodated you when they were around. What more do you want? They created their own little place where they can joke and not make you uncomfortable, and now you are mad about it. Well, I don't think the original poster was mad about that I don't know, maybe that he was, that they made their own WhatsApp group and whatnot, but I would be mad too if suddenly when all the group was together they started like ignoring me. Like, no. So I feel like if he's mad that they made a group and are making these jokes when they're not around and are making their own space, he would be the arsehole for that. But if he's being mad that they're kind of being all passive when they are all together, that is a fair point. Next one says, am I the arsehole for explaining what asexuality is to my mother-in-law? I, 26 female, am married to my husband, 29 male. I'm an asexual. I'm also pregnant. My mother-in-law is a very lovely lady. She's a bit sheltered, but she's very sweet. When I told her I was pregnant, she was confused. She thought that being asexual meant that you didn't have sex, so she asked if I did IUI, which sounds like it would be in utero something, some kind of fertilization. I'm not sure what that is. I laughed and I explained that some asexuals do have sex and not all are sex repulsed. She was really fascinated and asked me to expand on it, so we sat down together over some tea and I explained all the different types of asexuality that I know of to her. She was awestruck and she said she thought she was the same type of asexual that I am. I'm an asexual who still has a libido and enjoys sex from time to time, but I don't experience sexual attraction. I showed her some websites, and then I had to leave to pick up my stepson from school. She called me later on that day and said she really resonated with the stuff that I had told her, and she was really happy to learn that there wasn't something wrong with her. I got a little teary because she's in her late 60s and she spent most of her life thinking that there was something wrong with her. I have a little asexual keyring on my keys, so I ordered a matching one for her and she was delighted. It was honestly so fun seeing her this excited. She decided to come out to her husband, my father-in-law. He was not happy at all. He called me and berated me for corrupting his wife with my modern views. He said that I was brainwashed by social media and I was now brainwashing his wife. Mother-in-law, who's usually a doormat, actually stood her ground and she told father-in-law to leave me alone and that he had to accept her identity. Now they're not speaking to each other and mother-in-law is staying with us. My husband is on mine and my mother-in-law's side, but we've been bombarded with calls from father-in-law and other family members. According to them, there's no reason for a 65-year-old woman with 4 kids to need a label, and her being asexual doesn't matter because she's been married for the past 42 years and they're blaming me for causing a fight. between mother-in-law and father-in-law. I'm starting to feel a little guilty because mother-in-law doesn't like being away from father-in-law, and I feel like I should have just kept my mouth shut. No, you are absolutely not the arsehole. She was confused and asked you a question, or at least expressed confusion and gave you a need to explain some things. So she approached you about this. It's not like you approached her being like, oh yeah, this is asexuality. And once you started talking, she was interested. It was all like on her part, and she found her identity after like all her life of having felt so broken, of having felt like something was wrong with her. And her father-in-law's reaction is just weird, because it's not like it's really changing anything in their relationship. If they had like sex before or something, it's probably not gonna stop now. She just has a label and she knows that it's okay to be the way that she is. So no, she's definitely not the arsehole, especially because the mother-in-law pretty much took all the initiative to learn about asexuality. All that the original poster did is affirm her and be friendly with her and give her like an asexual keyring and whatnot. And no, she's definitely not the arsehole. The next one says, am I the arsehole for saying someone isn't asexual just because they haven't had sex? My 19 female friend, 18 female, has wanted for months to hook up with a guy, but thinks no guy would be interested in her because she's too quiet. So she stands around with me at frat parties and wants to approach guys, but doesn't have any confidence. She said this, and someone we know won't stop trying to convince her she's asexual now, saying, if you haven't had sex by now, you're probably asexual. Many people are. This girl is determined to force my friend to be asexual and is shaming her for pretending to want sex instead of owning her identity, and keeps calling her self-hating. My friend is straight and definitely does want to hook up with guys and isn't confused about it. I said she's not asexual just because she hasn't succeeded in hooking up yet. And they said, who are you to tell the LGBTQ people what their identity is? The world is full of asexual people who refuse to acknowledge it. So the title made me think like this was a different situation than it is. But no, I don't think you are the arsehole, because this seems to be a non-queer person trying to force an identity on apparently another non-queer person and trying to speak for so-called LGBTQ people. And that person is definitely the arsehole, and the original poster is not, because clearly the woman who is having an asexual identity forced upon her doesn't identify as asexual at all. And yeah, OP is right. Just because she hasn't had sex yet doesn't mean she's asexual, because for some people the I haven't found the right person yet is actually a truth. So no, she is not the arsehole. Next one says, am I the arsehole for blowing up at my ex-friend when he asked why I chose to be asexual? I was friends with this person, Archie, male 14. Oh, that's young. He was a total douche to me, and while I didn't realize at the time, it was incredibly toxic and a significant part of how shit my mental health is. After coming out as asexual to my school, I got a lot of hate for it, and he was one of the main people that mocked me for it. He said I was only asexual because no one liked me, and that it was an excuse for not being able to get a girlfriend. He'd never dated anyone before. I said some harsh things in response, but felt like it was justified, as he's just invalidated me and an entire sexual orientation. After a few weeks, everyone started being a little more chill about it, and I stopped getting mocked so much. He was still weird about it, and I kept my distance. Then, a couple of days ago, he sat next to me in class and started asking me some weird questions about my asexuality, which I assumed to be attempts to make me uncomfortable. After a while, he asked why I chose to be asexual. I got really pissed off and blew up at him, saying some pretty harsh stuff towards him about his appearance. Again, I felt justified in doing so. However, I still feel really bad for what I said. I only assumed he was trying to make me uncomfortable. It could easily have been that he was curious. Only a few days later, before had one of my friends said that he actually seemed to be trying to be nicer to me, although I just assumed it was sarcasm and blanked him. Am I the arsehole? It sounds like you're very young, so I wouldn't say that you are the arsehole. If you were an adult, I would have said maybe a tiny bit for like making harsh comments about his appearance. But considering you are all like around 14 years old, I wouldn't say that you are the arsehole, because this boy was just using asexual stereotypes, like how asexuality is a choice and asexuals are just asexual because we can't get laid or whatever. Also, after him mocking you for so long, it is definitely justified for you to like mistrust him and not think that he's curious, because he kind of bullied you for being asexual. So that is very much understandable. The next one says, am I the asshole for not wanting to be outed as an asexual yet? So, am I the asshole for not wanting my mum to know that I'm ace yet? I was in a voice chat with my friend Paul, fake names obviously, and he sort of sneakily brings up that I'm ace through my fear of boobs with some friends who don't know. For context, my mum works at my school and worried that if too many people know, she might find out through gossiping people and stuff. I went into a private DM with him and a couple others and just asked him to not do that. He got a little pissed and didn't understand why, but he was pretty okay with it apart from being snarky with me after. After we made up though, my other friend Jerry comes in and tells me that nobody gives a fuck, his actual words, about me being asexual and that I shouldn't tell Paul that he shouldn't make jokes about me. I got a little annoyed and told him that I am allowed to not want to be out yet and stuff, and he really stuck with his argument and told me that people would never mention it, so there's no risk, which is probably true I guess, but yeah. Am I the arsehole for not wanting Paul to talk about my sexuality overtly? Oh god, no, you're absolutely not the arsehole, because what he's doing is like kind of the equivalent as if he kept saying about a gay person, like, oh, you just love boobs so much, like about a gay woman or something, and that just makes people wonder if they're gay, or in your case, if they're ace. And no, you have every right to not be out. Like, both Paul and Jerry are a bit overreacting, especially Jerry, because he wasn't even part of it. It sounds like Paul was making all the jokes. No one should force you to come out if you are not ready. And this has been all the arsehole-y or pretty much non-arsehole-y situations I have for you today. I hope you will enjoy the rest of Ace Week, and if you want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram or subscribe to my Patreon, send me a voice message, send me anonymous questions and whatnot, all of that stuff will be in the link tree in the description, and if you would like to send me an email, my email will be in the description as well. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, stay safe.